Beyrouthi from FS Securities. We are an education and information firm on the Gold Coast in Queensland, Australia. And there is our daily market report. We tell you what went on overnight around the globe, and of course what recommendation we give you every day. Well, overnight and from around the globe, we start with the Dow Jones Industrial Average, and you can see here it was down 1.6% overnight, and that was 391 points lower. Finished at 24,206. But remember, the last couple of days we had some very good run. I think yesterday morning, when we told you that the Dow was up 3.9%, there was some indication that maybe the search for a new vaccine for the coronavirus may be close. But anyway, this morning there has been some challenges to that claim, and the market was down 391 points, but we're still up so far this week. The broader S&P 500 was down 1%. The Nasdaq was down 0.5%. In Europe, the StoxX 50 index, which comprises most major European markets, was down 0.3%. In London, the FTSE 100 index was down 0.8%. But remember, also all the European stocks were actually very high yesterday morning. In Japan, the Nikkei yesterday was up 1.5%, and Shanghai index in China was up 0.9%. And we had a very good day, nearly 100 points on the rise. It was actually slightly higher during the morning session, but reclined in the afternoon slightly. But we still finished with 1.8% rise on the day. However, today we're seeing that most of that profit may actually evaporate, but because the futures, if you believe the futures, indicate that most likely the market will be down 1.5%, slightly less than the gain on yesterday, and that is 83 points. We'll see what happens. Gold this morning was up $13.80 US, that's per ounce. Silver continues to go higher and higher, another 3%. And yesterday we told you that we put a paper on silver, and again remember that everything we say here is only our general advice only, and we'll give you the disclaimer at the end of this presentation. Copper was up overnight. However, Brent crude oil was slightly down 6 cents per barrel, so it's only slight change. By the way, that price here is early in the morning, and that price change reflects what happened at the end of the day. So 6 cents down comparison to yesterday afternoon. Crude oil, the West Texas crude oil, on the other hand, was up 2%. Interestingly, the Brent down slightly, the West Texas crude oil up. Soybeans had a good day yesterday, $6.50. It looks like no changes. So it looks like soybean was closed, no trading. Now the US dollar has dropped overnight, and because of that our Australian dollar versus the US was slightly higher, less than 0.1%, from 65.2. Remember, on Friday was 64.1. We may see that the Australian dollar, because of regaining the export business, well, we still do not know what's going to happen with the barley and the beef and all the spat between Australia and China, but nevertheless our export is still up, and therefore we expect the Australian dollar to gain strength. Okay, and by the way, on the New Zealand, we give you 107 New Zealand dollar. 1 Australian dollar will give you 107 New Zealand dollar. For those who follow Bitcoin, Bitcoin this morning was 9,690 US per coin, slightly down, only $15 down from yesterday morning, and that converts to approximately 14,785 Australian dollars, down $100 on the day. Now we're looking at the chart. This is the Dow. the weekly Dow, the daily Dow. And here we see that the Dow, as you can see here, it's a green candle, closed almost at the lowest point of the day of the week so far, only 2-day trading in the week. But however, it's interestingly, it hovered around the 50% retracement from the very high level of 29,568 or thereabout, all the way down, I think, early February or March, and that's weekly. It went down to 18,284, recovered 80%, hovered around the 80%, and so far this week we see the green candle closing above the 50-day retracement. So that's really good. If it goes below it, well, that may not be so good. It may be an indication, a signal. On the daily chart, here we see that we had 3 beautiful days. Thursday, Friday last week, Monday, and then Tuesday morning. So again, you've got to take one day off when you look at that, because I'm looking at the close of the price according to the Australian timing. Okay, so we had a red candle yesterday, but nevertheless it did not take all the profit from the day before. Now looking at our market, the ASX 200, again, for quite a while we were waiting to see that the 38.2% retracement between the high of 7,000, nearly 200, all the way down to 4,400. I think it was early February. We recovered 38%. That's the Fibonacci retracement, and it hovered around it for a while. It would not break through it, but yesterday we managed to break through it. It looks like we might see that the candle may drop at the close below that 38.2%. That's not a good sign. Looking at the daily, as I said yesterday, we had a beautiful day, and the closing price yesterday was the highest in nearly 15-20 days. So we had a good day yesterday, but however, today the futures are indicating that we might see a decline in the market. Now again, we look at advances over declines every day, and yesterday we had 40% of all the stocks advanced and 20% declined, and we had 3 days of trading days where the advances exceeded declines, but previously we had 3 days of declines exceeding advances. Yesterday the volume was good, higher than the previous week. As you can see here, we had nearly 2.9 billion, 2.9 billion transactions. And again, you look at week on week, the last 4 weeks, we can see that the advances in general week on week exceeded the declines. So that's also a very good sign. 50.5% of all the stocks over a lot of weeks happen to be above the declines, which is still a good sign. Now, in the mechanical system that we offer, that is the mechanical system that we have designed, the weekly and the daily. So we look at the investor as being separate from the very aggressive trader. So we have different strategies. We look at the technical analysis, and again, we have certain factors that help us to actually show us. So on week by week, even the investor here is showing on the week. The investor here relies on the weekly gain on the monthly chart and compares the signals with the weekly charts, and provided both agree with each other, then we have either a bull or bear. If they don't agree with each other, we end up with neutral. So in here, for instance, the Dow for the investor, that's on Saturday morning, that's the end of last week. That is the figures on Saturday morning after the market closed. We've shown that the Dow for the investor, based on the monthly chart and the weekly chart, showing neutral. However, if you look at the aggressive trader, which compares the weekly charts with the daily charts, we ended up having a confirmation between the two times on the charts of being bearish. And again, you look at then at the end of the week, That was actually the signal, and we started the week with that particular factor. However, we ended up reversing very quickly. Remember, the very aggressive trader can change every day. The investor, on the other hand, takes a lot of time to change. Once the weekly indicator gives you a signal, that remains for the whole week or the whole month. But here on the daily, then of course things can change. But we had 2 beautiful days. Even though this morning the market dropped in America, we still have a signal of bullish signal for the very aggressive trader. But remember that most time we have some leading indicators and that change very quickly, such as the stochastic and the parabolic stop and reverse, and we have a lot of lagging indicators that take more than a day or two to form. So again, we need to have confirmation. So we have a red candle on the Dow this morning. However, if that remains bullish tomorrow morning, then obviously we will actually refrain from taking a reverse action. But the Nasdaq, we continue to be strongly bullish across all type of investors and traders. The S&P 500, bull for the aggressive and the very aggressive. Gold, we remain very bullish on gold, and we remain very bullish on silver. So again, that's something you may want to look at. Crude oil, we were actually bullish on Saturday morning, and we continue to be bullish right through until this morning as well. That is the West Texas crude oil. And remember, even though the Brent oil went down slightly overnight, West Texas crude oil was up 2%. If you trade any of the other commodities such as coffee, orange juice, wheat, corn, whatever, all you have to do is talk to us and we'll give you some indication what the technical indicators are telling us. And remember, technical indicators are not sacrosanct. They don't always give you 100% accuracy. The Australian dollar, neutral for the long-term investor. And this morning it looks like the Australian dollar starting to be bullish for the very aggressive trader, the trader who's actually trades in the morning and maybe out a day after or even maybe in the same day. British pound, if you want to trade the British pound, we go bearish against the US. Now looking at our market, again, that's the stocks that we have. That's what we had on the week, and that's what we had on the day. And this morning, looks like we haven't changed that. But anyway, on the weekly chart, ANZ, CBA, NAB, QBE, and Telstra and Westpac all bearish at the moment. No one likes the banks for some reason. And CIMIC, that's the old Leighton Holdings, and Newcrest Mines happen to be the only 2 positive bullish. Okay, in terms of most advanced, and anyway, in terms of volume, we look at the volume every day and we see, we trace and search within the market which stock in the top 50 stocks with more than 1 billion market capitalization, and see which stocks advance in the price and advance in the volume. Advance in the volume is compared to the 50-day average volume. So if you add the top, the last 50-day volume and divide it by 50, you have an average, moving average, and then obviously we compare the volume yesterday with that average, and we find that this company here, GPT Group, had, instead of 10.1 million shares transacted daily on average, yesterday it traded 16 million. So we want to know why. James Hardie is also appearing every so often. Again, had 11% price rise and 41% increase in the volume above the average. All Search 7.3% higher in price and 35% increase in the volume, and so is BHP and Rio. Now for the aggressive trader and the very aggressive trader, we look at the mid cap companies below $1 billion market capitalization. And we see here that this company here, Bellevue Gold, I really want to do a bit of research on Bellevue Gold. Yesterday it went from 17 cents to 63 cents, and the volume, usually the daily volume was 751,000 shares, and yesterday they ended up with 3.4 million. I want to have a look at this company very quickly, and that's what we want to put a paper on it, provided we can trade it on CFDs. All right, finally, the disclaimer. Everything I said today is for general advice only, and before you take any action, please consult with us or your professional advisor. No stock or no recommendation can guarantee you 100% profit at all the time. So please be aware of the risk and reward that you take into trading. If you want to talk to us, if you have any questions, my name is George at FS Securities. FS stands for full service. George at FS Securities, plural, securities.com.au. You can call me on my mobile. If you ring from overseas, you put 61 first, you don't need the 0. From overseas people, 61 411 259526. Locally, 0411 259526. And that's about it. Have a good day, and I hope you have some success in trading and make some money all the way.